Hi, I'm back. Sorry about the delay, it's been a hot minute. Me and my girlfriend have just moved into our own flat. We're trying to get stuff sorted, in order. We've also been doing stuff like, I'm a sponsor for a charity called Veganuary. In January, they challenged people to try veganism for 1 month. I've been vegan for over 2 years, and it's a fantastic charity that do a lot for animal protection, animal rights, and they invited us to an animal sanctuary in Kent for the day. So me and my girlfriend went along, had a great time, met a lot of animals that have been saved from slaughterhouses and factory farming, and some of them have just been abandoned. They had some feral cats there, and I got a chance to get up close and personal with the animals. Have my photograph taken with them, pet them, hear about their stories and where they were from, and it was really eye-opening, and it was such a fantastic reminder for me about why it is important to be vegan, and why factory farming needs to end. That's not the focus of today's video. Today we're talking about a couple of different things. I think I can summarize it all by saying it's about an invasion of privacy. I'm going to tell it from two perspectives. The perspective of being a disabled person, one, and being a well-known actor in the UK, number two. From the perspective of a disabled person, the invasion of privacy comes in the form of unwanted questions, inappropriate questions sometimes. And I've got a tweet here that I screenshotted from a user named Faith Martin, who is a disability activist on Twitter. The invasion of privacy thing is just a little bit in her tweet, but I wanted to take it out and basically really kind of deep dive into it and what my experiences are. So her tweet said, I get tired of being disabled, not because being disabled is something to pity, simply because attitudes, access and basic human rights for disabled people still don't fully exist. Please read, there's a note attached, and be an ally to disabled people. We can't do this alone. And she's right, access is still pitiful for a lot of disabled people, especially in these trying times that we're in now. So in her note, she basically talked about being able to complain about lockdown and not being able to go out and do stuff and not being able to meet your friends and socialise is a privilege, because there are lots of people in the UK that have mobility issues and can't necessarily get out and socialise in a normal way. So she talked about having to use hoist in toilets and how even disabled toilets in pubs and places don't have that. Because of that, you're only able to stay in the pub for 2 hours maximum before calling it a night. And then she goes on to mention social distancing. She said, social distancing? Imagine instead of staying 2 meters apart, people actively avoid talking to you, pull their children away and stare at you while you're queuing up in Tesco because you seem different to societal norm. This happens to us all the time. Yeah, that happened. I think I talked about it in my last video or a couple videos back, getting unwanted stares, unwanted attention, and it can be really hard and really humiliating sometimes to be seen as kind of objects to gawp at or objects to stare at. I know I'm kind of resilient to it now, but like I said a lot, it's not just my attitude you've got to think about is in the other person and like, would you like to be stared at all the time? But what I really want to kind of focus on in this video is this part where she said, imagine going into nightclubs and the only thing people do is touch you on the leg and ask if you can have sex because you're in a wheelchair and then feeling uncomfortable for the rest of your night because people keep trying to sit on your lap. Lads, would you really do that to one of my able-bodied friends? That kind of brings me to the point I wanted to make about unwanted questions and unacceptable questions that people with a disability are for some reason expected to answer, like, can we have sex? And I've had people asking me about really intimate details of my life simply because they want to know how it will work. And I get the inquisitiveness, I really do, but I think there are other ways you can learn about it than just by asking someone, because like I said before, you don't know how that person's going to react, and it could be seen as really invasive, and it could be really hurtful and harmful to someone to ask them those kind of questions. I've had that before where I've been in a situation and I didn't really want to talk about it and I felt uncomfortable, and people might keep pressing you for an answer. I keep harping on about this thing where it's like, treat disabled people the way you would treat anyone else. And it's really not hard, but people really can't seem to sort of realise that we lead quite similar lives to everyone else. There may be some differences in access, but we're still all human. We still all have basic needs, and it's really frustrating that these things still keep happening. So the second part of my video is about how being an actor in the public eye has changed people's perception of me and people's reaction to me. I've sort of been having this kind of thing happen to me for years because I've had a disability anyway, so part of me is used to it. But there's another element that I didn't quite grasp at first, and that was being a recognisable figure. And 99% of the time, that's great. I love meeting people, I love hearing what people have to say about what I do, and I love getting a picture with someone or shaking their hand. Obviously, I can't do that now because of social distancing, but ordinarily, I would love to shake everyone's hand and get a picture with them and talk to them about my work, because I think it's important to spread a positive message about disability and what disabled people can do. But every now and then, like I spoke about previously, you can get people that are slightly more intrusive and slightly more pressing and do things that maybe would not be acceptable in an ordinary circumstance. So for example, I posted a tweet, if I can find it I'll put it up here, about someone I met just out in the city centre who asked if it was okay if she gave me a kiss, and I said, I'm not sure, not wanting to directly assert myself and say no, because that's the kind of person I am. She kind of grabbed my face and kissed me on the lips. Now, actually looking back, it feels quite trivial, but this upset me quite a lot. And I put a tweet up about it saying that basically an invasion of privacy, harassment, whatever you want to call it. It's not acceptable to do that to someone without their permission, no matter who they are. Like, consent is obviously a really important thing, and I think there's one thing you should take away from this video, that the main thing here is that consent is key. But yeah, no, she just kissed me on the lips, kind of grabbed me and pulled me in against my will, and I felt really uncomfortable. I felt really unpleasant, really upset about it. But that's the thing. The point I want to make is just because they might be in a wheelchair or you see them in the public eye isn't any kind of excuse to treat them any differently than any other human being and not give them, respect and courtesy that they deserve just because they're disabled or just because they're well known. And I think in both of these situations, the same message can be taken away from that. So she says in the last line of her tweet that it's never okay to ask a disabled person personal questions about sex or any part of their life without absolute consent. I would agree, it's absolutely not okay. My question is, why are you even asking them? If they weren't disabled, you would not be asking that question because you know the answer. It does happen. Disabled people can have sex and relationships. We discussed that in my last video. It's entirely possible, but we, as outsiders, don't have a right to intrude on that or to ask them any intimate personal details about our life, because why do you need to know? I get that maybe you're inquisitive, but it doesn't affect you unless you're with a disabled person, in which case why would you be asking that question anyway? You know what I mean? Once again, just treat disabled people with respect and just treat disabled people like you would anyone else. I'm sure I said that 3 or 4 times now, but it can be said a lot because there are a lot more examples of either disabled people being treated with kid gloves, disabled people being asked really intimate and personal questions about their lives, and a whole array of other things that reflects the way society and people in general think about disabled people. I get that maybe you want to be more educated about disabled people, but rather than ask a random disabled person, maybe try and find some resources online. Maybe just a simple Google search could start you off. Do a bit of research, maybe get to know someone that's disabled and then ask them when they're comfortable with you asking them. There are so many ways to go about it. It doesn't involve intruding into what almost always seems to be a random disabled person's private life. Yeah, that's basically the aim of this video, is to say, if in doubt, use the internet. It's a lot easier and it doesn't invade anyone's personal privacy. If in doubt, just Google it. If you really want to know, just use Google. That's the answer. Don't go trying to put your nose into other people's business, because it's really not fair on them. And at the end of the day, you wouldn't like it if it was done to you. So, anyway, I'm sorry this video took so long, and I really hope I'm gonna come up with some good topics for more. I have some ideas, but they're coming along slowly, and it's really hot at the moment. I've been going to the gym, been trying to work out, been trying to kind of make the most of my summer as well. So, I hope you're all doing well. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.